Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the L4G Soundbite. Now, what these are the opportunity for anyone in Link for Business to have a 10 to 15 minute interview where we talk about their business, their passions, and learn a little bit more about them. And today we have Angela. Come and say hello, Angela.
Hi there, Chris. How are you doing?
I'm brilliant, thank you. Are you enjoying the weather? Have you been out in it?
Very much so. Unfortunately, if I sound a little bit stuffed up, that's hay fever, so my apologies. But yes, I do love the weather.
Good stuff. Okay. Well, thank you for joining us this afternoon. We've arranged last week, so I know you were a little nervous, but don't worry. This is all very easy going. Just tell us very, very briefly a little bit about where you are and what part of the world you're in, so that people kind of know whereabouts you're coming from.
Okay. Well, I'm here in Cambridgeshire, actually in Peterborough. There's a very sunny Peterborough today, which is all good. So, yeah, that's where I am.
Okay, fabulous. So now we met at a Link for Business event, and we had a very brief conversation. I got quite excited because I've been looking for somebody in property to do something which we'll touch on a bit later. So tell us a little bit about what you do.
Okay. I generally help people who wish to sell their property, but they don't maybe want to or cannot wait for the lengthy process of going through an estate agent, putting it on the market and waiting to see what happens. And then if they do get an offer, it perhaps may fall through, something may go wrong in the process, and then you're 6 months down the line and having to start again. So I try to keep it all rolling. So give people the opportunity to be able to sell their property quickly and move on with their lives instead of going through the lengthy process that we have all been doing traditionally, because most people don't think there is another way of doing things. So I'm kind of trying to just rearrange and educate people as to the new way of doing things.
So, I mean, I'm not in the market for a house. I've been through the traditional thing. So does that mean you've got a large sum of money and you're a cash buyer? Or does it mean that implementing some other strategies which enable people to kind of get out of difficult situations?
That's right. I mean, there's all sorts of different ways of doing it. Mainly, it's listening to people and seeing what it is that they need from their property at this moment in time. A lot of people think that maybe they've got a little bit of equity in their house, but they need to sell the whole house and get somebody to either come in as a cash buyer or come in on a mortgage. And that's the only way that they can get their equity out. Whereas it might be that if you agree to stage payments, perhaps, maybe they haven't got a mortgage, but they don't need all of the equity in their property. Well, similar to cars, for instance, if the only way to buy a car nowadays was all upfront cash, there wouldn't be so many brand new cars on our streets. But the fact is that the car companies have made it easier for people to buy by staging the payments. So it's similar to that, but with a house.
So, but isn't that what a mortgage is? It's a stage payment, but over 4 years or whatever it is.
Could be. Yes, but then how many people are struggling to get mortgages nowadays? There are so many people. Mortgages are so hard to come by. And if you just rely on the people who can get a mortgage, you're narrowing the amount of people that can buy your house. But if you're opening it up so that almost anybody can do that, almost anybody can make the payments, they can afford it, check their affordability criteria, obviously, but there may be there may be a reason why they can't buy it, they can't get a mortgage at the moment. Perhaps they're a new family, they've got young children, they're on one income. Maybe they're new to the country, perhaps they're self-employed. So we're cutting out at the moment, by going down the traditional route, we're cutting out a lot of those people who would like to buy, but simply can't at the moment because the lenders are saying, well, no, I'm sorry, your income, it doesn't match, or you've got a little bit of a blip on your credit file, so you can't have a mortgage. But why exclude all of those people? And then you're also having a knock-on effect where the people who are trying to sell, they can't sell to anybody because nobody can get a mortgage to buy. So you're in this situation whereby the housing market comes to a standstill almost. But if you can keep it going by opening it up to more people who are able to purchase somebody's house, it keeps the market going.
So obviously this is alternative ways of financing, because we're not talking about, I mean, the people who own the house and are looking to sell it. Presumably, if someone comes along and can't get a mortgage, there's some way of both parties being satisfied with an arrangement which is not the traditional arrangement that, you know, that everyone doesn't love, everyone hates.
That's right. I mean, you know, you've got two parties and you're bringing them together, whereas one wants something, the other has got it to give. Why not make the arrangement between the two parties? And I act as the facilitator to do that. So if I've got somebody who wants some money out of their house and somebody who wants to get in onto the property ladder, why not put those two together? And then everybody's happy. But if you say to the seller, for instance, oh no, your house isn't selling, so just drop the price. Dropping the price doesn't make it accessible to more people. It's the same people that couldn't afford it at 300, they still can't afford it at 290. But if you're opening up the way you sell your house to more people, then more people will be able to buy that property at the full market value, and it will save people having to drop their price unnecessarily.
Right, so let me try and understand this. So instead of having people come along who have been effectively approved by the banking sector as people who can buy your house, what you're effectively doing is saying, right, well, the banks want 20% deposit. I, as the seller of this house, will accept 10% or 15% or whatever it is, and actually, you know, you can pay me in a kind of mortgagey type way over time, or what, or is that the sort of thing we're talking about here?
Absolutely, yes. So, you know, you're kind of using the seller, if you like, I guess, as a bank, or you know, rather than a lending institution. It's all done, you know, it's all above board, it's all done through solicitors, etc. So there's an agreement in place. But similar to a car or something, they don't give over the registration until you've completed payments on it. But you take ownership of it, you can drive it, you put petrol in, you service it, etc. And that's similar to a house. You make the payments on it, you do any repairs, you pay the council tax and the bills and things like that, and then the title is given over to you once you've made that payment.
Okay, so I'm going to just give you a scenario here where I think what you're talking about would work, and you can comment on this. So I've got a house and I'm struggling to meet the mortgage payments and I just want out. Unfortunately, I can't find a buyer for whatever reason for the property, and it's going along, and actually I don't want to go down that road because it might take me 6 months, 9 months to close the deal. So what I really want is somebody who can take the mortgage payments off my hands so that I don't have to pay it anymore. But effectively, I'm not giving up my mortgage. So effectively, someone's just paying my mortgage. So as far as the bank's concerned, it's a similar thing. It's the same as it was, or there's some kind of clever finance bit behind there, which means there is still a mortgage which is still being paid. But I'm not the one living there and paying it, but someone's coming to do that, and everyone's happy.
You kind of got it, yeah. Just, you know, a few ironing out issues, depending on the lending company, for instance, then you would the seller would talk to their lending company and they would get approval for it being let out in effect. So maybe getting consent to let on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they would still be paying the mortgage, but the person who was effectively letting the property would be paying the seller to pay their mortgage.
Right.
It all depends on what the lending company is happy with, but you know, you have to keep it within what they want to do. But
Right.
yeah, you've really got it right. But then there are lots of cases where there is no mortgage on the property, and maybe there have got people who may be moving abroad. And don't forget, the interest rates being so low at the moment, Chris, if people sell their properties and then they're going to put money into the bank, what are they going to get on it?
Yeah.
So why not make it work for them and charge somebody an interest rate for buying their house, and they're getting a return for their money whilst they're waiting for these payments. So it's a good little investment for people who haven't got lending on the property.
Yeah, it sounds. I mean, I'll just say to people, you know, if you want to know more, go and have a proper one-to-one with you, because I can see people maybe watching this like me, and my nose is bleeding.
I think because it's new. I really think because it's new. And one of the reasons people say to me, oh, you know, have you got a website, Angela? And I say, well, no, I don't have a website, because as we're trying to explain this almost kind of face-to-face through, you know, technology, it's very difficult. But I'm just more into, if anybody's got a problem in property, then come and talk to me, because there is a solution. And it's just thinking outside the box, thinking outside of the traditional ways that we've been doing things for the last 400 and odd years. Is just to think a little bit differently. Just because it's always been done that way doesn't mean to say there's never an alternative. And I just think it's just thinking about this alternative. Every scenario is different. Every property transaction that I do is different from the last one, and the next one will be different as well. And it's just talking to the sellers and saying, okay, what's the problem that I need to solve? Because if they don't have a problem, there's nothing to solve. So, go the traditional route if that's what you can do. But let's look at solving the problem. If we can solve the problem, then the rest kind of works itself out, to be honest. So it's just about solving people's problems. So yeah, if you've got a property problem, anybody, please come talk to me.
Fabulous. Now we're gonna wrap up in a second, but before we do, we've been talking about property TV as part of the business channel on L4G.TV, which I'm quite excited about, and we're going to work together on that, because I think that actually the whole property sector is very, very complex. It's huge, it's vast. There's an enormous amount of information that people could contribute and share, which can help maybe take some of the demons out of the industry. But I'm pleased that we can, and we've got to plan it a little bit, and but it's on the horizon, and I'm looking forward to that, and I hope you are too.
Definitely, I'm very much looking forward to it. We discussed it briefly, and I'm looking forward to discussing it further, and people can learn more, and more people will be educated about the different ways of doing things within property.
Fabulous. Now my phone's ringing in the background, but how can people get hold of you, Angela? I know you're on Facebook, so presumably they can get you on there.
Yes, they can get me on Facebook, and then my business telephone number, which I'm sure everybody can. Would you like me to give it out over?
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
People can reach me on 07841 879 093. They can text me, and I'll definitely get back to them.
And your email address?
Email is Angella, ANGELLA JAYBE @gmail.com.
Fabulous.
It's all on Facebook. So if they find me on Facebook, then all the details are on there. Brilliant
stuff. Well, thank you ever so much for coming on today and sharing that bit with us. And yeah, let's get the TV show. Let's see a bit more of you, and take some of the mystery out of the housing market.
I certainly hope to do that, Chris. Thanks very much for inviting me.
All right, now thank you very much. Now take care. Cheerio now.
Bye-bye.